That's right. For this week's main topic, we are continuing our at least two-part episode looking at our recent sailing aboard the somewhat brand new Disney Destiny, a ship we had never sailed aboard before, Michelle.
Right. It's technically still the inaugural year. We were able to get some inaugural souvenirs, so that's fun.
Yes.
Very new.
Yeah, we were very excited about that. And very excited about this cruise and very excited about this ship. So much so that we talked at length last week. If you haven't listened to or watched last week's episode yet, part 1 of our date with Disney Destiny, that is available for you on all our podcast servers, and of course also on YouTube if you want to check out the video version. This is going to be part 2. We're hoping to try and get it all in part 2. We will see what happens. We don't want to make this a 2-hour episode, so let's just go ahead and get right to it. So the part 1 were our first 3 days on the cruise. Embarkation day, Lookout Key at Lighthouse Point, and then our first sea day. We're going to start here on our part 2 with Dave. I need to recap. I need, you're thinking we need to move along already. I need to tell people where we are so people understand. Day 4 is where we're going to start this one. That is our first port day that the Disney Destiny had never visited before. We already had a port day, as I mentioned. This was San Juan, Puerto Rico. First time welcoming the Disney Destiny, and it was exciting to be there because it was also our first time, Michelle.
Right. Other Disney ships have gone to Puerto Rico before, but this was a unique new experience for, like you said, us and the ship, and it was really fantastic.
And part of the reason why we booked this cruise is because we did want to see Puerto Rico. So we did have an excursion booked. It was called the Taste of Puerto Rico, and we'll discuss how maybe the taste was a little bit different than we expected when we booked this. As a matter of fact, here is what it said about this excursion. It says, savor the soul of Puerto Rico on the immersive half-day journey through the vibrant and flavorful culinary landscape of Caguas, a town rich in history and tradition. So we thought we're going to get to sample a bunch of food at a lot of different restaurants in this town that's about 40 minutes outside of San Juan, Puerto Rico, away from the port there. And yeah, we did get some of that. We got a lot more taste of alcohol. But
sample is the key word.
We'll get to that. That was okay. We're okay with that, but I just thought it was a little bit different than what we expected. So yes, met with our guide, got on our bus, went to Caguas. As I mentioned, it was about a 40-minute journey. Our guide was wonderful as we were on that trip, explaining a lot of the history of the area, explaining what some of the buildings were, what their cultural significance was, as well as some other sites as we were going on the trip. I really enjoyed that part, Michelle.
Yeah, she is certified in travel planning, and you could tell her passion of the island and the history of it really came through. She was amazing. And like you said, she pointed out a lot of great things. A fun fact that I chuckled over, if you've ever heard of the show, The Flying Nun, it was filmed there. And she showed us the church area that it was actually filmed in, and I thought that was hysterical.
And how much she loved watching it because it was kind of a glimpse back at the history of San Juan, Puerto Rico, because of some of the shots that were done there as well. So she got a kick out of it.
Yeah, she's she said,
even though she was in her 20-somethings,
but that was so. But she really pointed out so many other things. Talked a lot about, the culture. And so it was very edutainment for sure.
Yeah, no, it was great for a bus ride of 40 minutes, which, when we first saw that, we're like, 40-minute bus ride, great. We're not really big fans of that, but she made it entertaining and interesting. And we got a lot of historical facts as well as current, more modern day facts about the area as well, which was fascinating. So we stopped in Caguas at a space near a church and walked through kind of a central park area that was there. One interesting thing that was going on as we're walking through this park, suddenly there was all this noise coming through. And then we look over and there was like a flatbed truck with a whole bunch of speakers on it, and they were announcing things. And then there was another flatbed truck with a bunch of people holding signs and cheering and dancing and stuff. We're like, what is going on? Is this a party? Apparently it was a party, but it was a party for the opening of a hospital, Michelle.
Yeah. It was just kind of really promoting this new hospital. And, like our guide said, it doesn't take a lot of any inspiration to really bring about a party, and that's really what it was, and it was so fun.
Right. It was just kind of funny. This is how we celebrate our opening of a new hospital.
Yeah.
We got to start a party through the streets. It was hilarious. But and gave our guides a little bit tough trying to speak to us and tell us things about this park because there was a bit of noise there, but it was all good. All good. So our first stop was a place. We walked down the street to a place called Los Hermanos, which is a sangria factory, sangria business. Sat down there, and boy, did we kick off our taste of Puerto Rico with some really, really wonderful sangria, right, Michelle?
Right. It's was produced there. It's using all local ingredients, and I think that was kind of the overall theme we heard throughout the whole tour is, appreciating the local ingredients and what they have to offer in Puerto Rico. And the people who served us there could not have been any warmer. They were amazing.
It was wonderful. We got so much sangria to try. We had 2 full glasses of sangria and then like tasting shots of a variety of different other flavors of sangria. Every one of them were wonderful. Mm-hmm. Spoiler alert, we walked out of there with 3 bottles of different styles of sangria. We walked out of there with a passion fruit, a coconut, and a coffee liqueur one, which was the coffee liqueur may have been my favorite. I mean, it's going to be very particular when we use that one. My favorite. When we got back from our cruise, first thing we did was pour ourselves a glass of the passion fruit one. They were all amazing. We could have bought any of them and been happy, but those were the 3 that we settled on.
Right. And they were, fair price and everything like that. So, but again, it was really great to be able to appreciate what a local industry was offering, and they have received awards. They are, promoting themselves throughout, but this was just a really great way to kick off that tour.
Right. And they did have a little bit of food there where they served at various times plates of really fresh baked bread. It was wonderful. A little garlic on there. It was really nice combo with the sangria. We also received some cheese and cracker thing that was there. So it wasn't like they just gave us sangria and we didn't have anything to go on. We did have some bites there. And I will say this, we all walked in there as a group, not really knowing one another. And so we weren't exactly very talkative with one another, but as the sangria was flowing, by the time we walked out of that building, we were very, very friendly with one another, Michelle.
Right. Yeah. It wasn't a giant tour group. I think there was about 14 or
I think it was something like that. Yeah.
Of us all together. So there wasn't a ton of people. And I think that made it a little bit more intimate anyways. But yes, with this setting of having some sangria, like at 10:30 in the morning was a fun way to kick things off.
It was around 11. Let's give it a little bit better. It was around 11 by the time we got there. It was a 40-minute bus ride. That was great. We did meet the owner, the creator of the sangria, Emmanuel Reyes Ruiz, who is the one. He was a really, really nice guy. Very friendly, and he took this from ground level, from just starting. It's won awards, as Michelle mentioned. It's pretty incredible, and the product, if you ever get a chance to go in there, whether you take this tour or not, if you get to Caguas in Puerto Rico, go try and find a way to stop by this place because the product is amazing. Or if you ever see it anywhere in a store, highly recommend it. It's very, very good.
Right. It's a very family oriented business, and we couldn't highlight it any more. It's just amazing.
So we all stumbled out of there after enjoying much sangria and walked down the streets to our next stop. By the way, one thing that was also interesting about this is that these businesses, yes, they're kind of competing with one another, but they're also supporting one another. They would call ahead to the next restaurant that we were going to let them know they're on their way. Right. That's how much they were connected and willing to help one another with this situation and let everybody know what was going on. I was very impressed with that because I don't know if that happens in a lot of places.
Right. Yeah. I just think that there was that close knit, and they really wanted to make sure that everyone that was participating in this tour was having a good time, because I do think they want to, keep on good terms with Disney and be able to provide this.
Right. And it's not like these restaurants are like they're all under the same umbrella. It's not like they're under the Patina company company or whatever.
Right.
They're all just different restaurants under one giant company.
Right.
No, these are different owned restaurants. So also pretty impressive for that. So our next stop was a place called La Merida, which is a Mexican kind of Puerto Rican fusion restaurant. We got there and we received another cocktail. This was I believe it was a passion fruit margarita, which was very tasty, and the delicious pork taco that was there, which they said they actually don't serve regularly on the menu, but was something they felt really kind of highlighted that Mexican Puerto Rican fusion that they're trying to do there.
Right. Yeah. And again, very family business, using local ingredients, and so delicious. You could just feel the authenticity in it all.
And you could also purchase we purchased the sangria at the first place. At any of these restaurants you went to, if you wanted to purchase something there extra for food, you could do that. Michelle did do that at this restaurant. She purchased a fish taco, which was a wonderful fish taco, Michelle.
Yeah, I mean, we've been spoiled by great fish tacos in San Diego, and this definitely rivaled that.
Yeah.
So.
Very happy with this restaurant and the history of this restaurant, as well as I'm going to go back, if you're looking for this on YouTube, some of the artwork on the ceiling was really, really phenomenal. It's really well stylized. You could see that people there were enjoying the food. Definitely a place I would go visit again to get much more for that fish taco and that pork taco.
Right.
Both phenomenal.
Yeah,
Very good.
Absolutely.
Very good. Again, though, it was a small fish taco or a small pork taco. Wasn't a ton of food,
right?
But it was very delicious what we got.
Yeah.
So our next stop was a place that's called Nectar, which is a small place. They focus on like acai bowls and coffee and smoothies and so forth. There we got something that is actually traditional to San Juan, Puerto Rico. As a matter of fact, it's in dispute on who actually created it. It's widely known that San Juan, Puerto Rico is where the pina colada was first developed. This one now, we've already had some alcohol. This one was non-alcoholic. Right. It was 0 proof. It was a virgin pina colada.
Yes.
But it was delicious. And we got a little taste of bean salad. And there was an interesting story behind that bean salad, Michelle. I don't know if you remember it and want to tell it.
I don't remember the details of it.
So,
I think between the margarita and the...
Yeah, I get it. I get it. Believe me. So the interesting story, they said it was just a very simple, it was a cold bean salad. The reason they wanted to showcase it was because you may remember just a few years ago when Hurricane Maria went through and just crushed Puerto Rico. Like, we don't even know. I mean, we saw stories about it, but we don't even really know what they went through for weeks, months, year of not having power, not having all sorts, and that includes obviously homes, but also businesses. And some of the things they had to do was work to kind of figure this out. The bean salad is one of those things they could, have canned beans or they'd have dried beans, and they could create these things without power and still be able to feed people and everything. And so that's why they served us this bean salad. And I thought that was an interesting story and a touching story for sure.
Yeah. I remember just as you were getting ready to tell it, but our tour guide really kind of gave a little bit more in depth onto this, to the fact that communities, neighborhoods would really came together as a result of this tragedy. And they would have, like, today would be the day that everybody could get water, and then they would find a neighbor that, maybe had an outdoor grill or something like that they maybe cook some foods. But again, they didn't have a way to preserve foods without electricity for a long time. And it was just really touching to hear how the communities supported each other. And this bean salad was very good representation of that.
Right. Our guide also mentioned something interesting that I found fascinating, was that they talked about, the devastation and the difficult times that went along with Hurricane Maria when that came through, and how much, that was a struggle, but at least it brought them all together, which is kind of, they said, what their nature is as Puerto Ricans, is that we're all brought together. Now, COVID was a different animal for them. They said they struggled much more with COVID because then they had to all be apart.
Right.
And they're like, that is not what we do here. And so we really struggled with COVID during that. So, I mean, not necessarily, I don't know that she didn't go into struggling as far as illnesses, how many people, really had troubles with that. But just the fact that you couldn't be together was really an issue. So I found that kind of a fascinating thing.
Yeah, especially since one followed the other. And, here they became came together, and then suddenly now they're being, encouraged to be a part. So,
Mhm.
which just shows again what level of detail that this tour guide was really providing us about their
Mhm.
culture.
And the pina colada was very tasty. The
Mhm.
bean salad, tasty, small. Again, very, very small.
Yes,
It was like
yes.
a little cup of bean
Yeah,
salad.
yeah,
You
like
know,
a
it was good, but it was very, very small. Again, not a ton of food. Our next stop we went to was it was kind of the biggest restaurant that we went to. It was a place called La Mancha del Plantano.
Mhm.
Easy for me to say. La Mancha de Plantano. It's basically a restaurant that is focused on everything about the plantain, because plantain is very Puerto Rican. And we got spoken to by one of the, I think is the manager there of the restaurant. It was a bigger restaurant. They have a lot of young people working on their staff. They're working very hard. We went by their kitchen. He showed us how the kitchen was working a little bit, even did a call out and how everybody answered. It was fantastic. We started with a little passion fruit kind of refreshing freeze kind of drink that was delicious, and then we had a little bowl of this wonderful plantain soup with a fritter that went with it. Really, really nice. Again, I have no complaints over any of the food we ate. Just maybe we thought we were going to get a little more food than what we got, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's hard to tell from this bowl, but it is, very tiny bowl, and but it was delicious. They, make all their food, by hand. It's all authentic, and this soup was very thick and rich, and so full of layers of flavoring that it was wonderful.
Yeah, every single thing that we went and tasted, I would go back for. More my issue with this tour was we thought we were going to get like a bunch of food. Like we didn't eat breakfast that morning.
Right.
I think we got coffee and we didn't bother because we're like, oh, well, we're going to go out this morning and we're going to get all this food. No, we got all these drinks
Yes.
and a little bit of food.
Right.
So that was my issue with it. Other than that, I thought the tour was really, really good. The guide was phenomenal. She had so much interesting information. Some of the facts we brought up here already. I thought it was fascinating. The drinks were wonderful. The food was wonderful. I just expected more of it from the description of that tour.
Right. Yes. And they did do surveys with everybody, paper surveys that we gave, and we gave that feedback. And I think, in other groups that I've been involved with, on Facebook or WhatsApp that are associated with this cruise that went on this tour as well. I think that was the general consensus, that there was an expectation to have more food. We had a variety of food, but everything was very sample size, really small sample size.
So I wouldn't tell you not to go on this tour if you have the chance to book it, because there was a lot of great history and a lot of great stuff about culture with Puerto Rico. Food was good, a lot of drink. Just you might want to have a little breakfast before going out, because you may end up being a little hungry unless they alter some things based on some comments that were made. But mostly it was very good. It just a couple issues with it. But then it was time to get back on board the ship. We took the bus ride back to San Juan, Puerto Rico, back aboard our ship. And of course, after not getting as much food as we expected, we needed to get some food. So the first thing we did was, of course, go on to the ship and get the best chicken tenders you're going to find anywhere in Disney. Aboard Disney Cruise, we had to definitely get some chicken tenders because we needed some food after all that drink and not as much food as we expected.
Right. Yeah. The chicken tenders and fries just seemed to taste even better at that point. And it was a good thing that we had that available so quickly.
Yep. So we got those, kind of cleaned ourselves up. Then we realized, you know what? I bet you there's still a lot of people in port. Maybe we should check out the Haunted Mansion parlor for the first time. And sure enough, we got in there. There were very few people in there. We were able to get our pick of seats because people were either still out in the port or just getting back and, cleaning up or whatever, for this, getting food like we did for this. Got back into the Haunted Mansion parlor and we both ordered drinks. I didn't know for sure this was not going to be our last time in the Haunted Mansion parlor for sure. So I did order, even though we've had alcohol, another alcoholic drink. Michelle did get a non-alcoholic drink. You got the Swinging Wake,
right?
Which was a non-alcoholic drink. I got the 13th Hour, which was alcoholic, but it was delicious. What did you think about your drink, Michelle?
I thought it was delicious. I'm always, kind of skittish or wondering when you get a non-alcoholic drink, is it just going to be like flavored Sprite or ginger ale kind of thing, and it wasn't. It had a lot of great layers of flavor, very sweet, very very sweet. But I still thoroughly enjoyed it. And they actually you could purchase a sipper with that particular drink. They also have another sipper that you could purchase with pretty much any drink, but this particular sipper came only with that a swinging wake.
And what was that sipper that you got, Michelle?
It was the piano player in the Haunted Mansion, and it does play the theme song and lights up a little bit. It's adorable.
It's great. It's amazing. It's a really great sipper. Highly recommend you picking that up when you're there, for sure. I love my drink. A little on the sweet side, but I thought it was fascinating. It has a little effect on it. I'm not going to give it away, but it has a little effect that goes along with it. The show in Haunted Mansion, amazing. Haunted Mansion Parlor, amazing. What did you think about the show?
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I mean, first of all, you got to, if you're planning to do this, your expectations need to understand that it is small. It is a very small, intimate location or lounge, and
it'll be very popular, so it's a little tough to get into at times.
And I think you mentioned that it was a port day and things like that. I think the other thing that was to our advantage was it was later in the cruise. I think earlier in the cruise, people are rushing to get into there, and I think once they've done that, then they're exploring others. So I think that also is something that, if anybody's doing this, keep in mind, trying the Haunted Mansion a little later on in your cruise can be helpful. The effects and the entertainment value of it, I thought, were amazing. And the look, they really captured the essence of what you would think a Haunted Mansion lounge should look like.
As a Haunted Mansion fan, it's probably my favorite classic Disney attraction. I was amazed by it all. The show is about 45 minutes, from start to finish. And then depending on when you get in there, you can pick it up at certain points or whatever, or go back and check out things that you missed, check out things from different angles, because there's a lot that goes on in this room that if you're one part of the room, you may not notice, but you'll see it in another part of the room. It's great what they've done there. And I know it's also on the Disney Treasure, and you can experience it there too. What they've done is Imagineering, amazing. Keep that up. That is good stuff.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting because some things are subtle that if you're not really paying attention of what's going on, and maybe saying focus your attention on the walls, obviously on the fish tank that's been, featured in things. Definitely keep your eye on that, because some things you might just feel like you're sitting in a lounge listening to music, but there are things going on. It's definitely storytelling.
It's great. It's great. Got to do it when you're there. Just as Michelle already mentioned, maybe wait till a little bit more on the back end of your cruise. Getting in there, like I said, on a port day. If you get back to the ship relatively early, but the lounge is open, that's not bad. Or late at night, not a bad time to get in there as well. Then, as was a theme for much of this cruise, it was time to head to the Cove Cafe, because we just had a lot of alcoholic drinks. And Michelle had a non-alcoholic drink, but we decided we needed to reset again and kind of, boost it up, a little caffeine as well as something tasty. So we went to the Cove Cafe. And again, it's so wonderful and just relaxing in a good way to kind of reset and get ready as we transition for the day portion to more of the evening portion of the cruise.
Exactly. And then we may have mentioned this in the last episode, but the Cove Cafe is in the adult only section, 18 plus. But they do have two other coffee shops, more interior, like on the fourth and fifth level, that serve coffee as well, and that is available for anybody. But it's just really a nice atmosphere and very well to just sit there and chill.
We were hanging out with Carlos there. Carlos, our barista, who made us some wonderful coffees and was just so special for us the whole trip. So once we reset, it was time. Hey, Corella's Wretched Runway was going on in the Grand Hall. We know we needed to catch that because we heard great things about the Wretched Runway. And it did not disappoint, Michelle. It did not disappoint. I think you'd agree.
Absolutely. We stood in the, I think, one level up in the Grand Ballroom so we could get a good bird's eye view of everything. I didn't know for sure how they were going to do it for people who wanted to participate. Like, did they set a limit? But it did seem like anybody who wanted to participate, as long as you got there a little early and could line up, would be able to walk that runway, and the Cruella was fabulous, and I loved how she made comments on everybody, but it was all full of fun.
Yeah, basically you would get in your outfit and you would walk the runway, and then at the end they had 3 different groups, and they would get back together and they would have a photo as a group photo with Cruella. So the 3 groups that they did heroes, right? Essentially, they did basically. I mean, there's a different title to it, but it was it vilified or something like that?
It's maybe I can't remember.
Well, we'll just say it was a group of heroes. So if you're dressed like a hero, you could go with that group. Dressed like a villain that's not Cruella based, you could do that group. And then there was a Cruella based group, and that was by far the biggest group. There were a lot of people that were decked out as with Cruella influence. Not as much if you wanted to get into a smaller group, the hero group and the villain group, not as many people in that. But everybody got to walk the runway, and it was very, very fun.
Right. And if somebody wants to participate and they're not on full like cosplay or something like that, they're still able to go. We saw some people going just with a t-shirt that, had some kind of a hero or villain emblem on it, and they went. So, don't feel like, oh, wow, I can't do it unless I have a full-on costume. But if you're planning to do it with the Cruella, people really do.
They go all out.
They go in. Yeah, they get into it.
At least they did on our cruise.
Yeah.
It was great. It was so much fun. And Cruella is always outstanding.
Yes.
Always outstanding, as we may get to later
fabulous.
on this. Yep, for sure. So then we were back for dinner at Worlds of Marvel again. It was the second show for Worlds of Marvel, which is it's a show. It's not really a show. It's mostly focused on kind of different characters and influence. There's some Marvel trivia that you can play kind of during it throughout the meal. And there's a couple little interesting things with Groot that kind of happens in there, and lots of great music played. But it's not a super, it's not like the first show. But it still is entertaining and interesting, and does kind of get you through a nice meal, but also entertain you while you're there.
Right. Yeah. They have projections all around the restaurant, and you can, from any angle be seeing some, they might show some clips. But like you said, they also had some trivia questions, and you could answer by pushing buttons and things like that.
If you so desire, you didn't have to.
Yeah. There was no, point system. There were no prizes or anything like that. It's just, fun activity to do while you're, maybe in between courses and things like that.
And the food was good. I mean, I wouldn't say it was outstanding, but it was very, very good. And we enjoyed it again.
Yeah. There was a story being told, and it actually was, I really liked it. It unfolded nicely.
Well, as a fan of Guardians, I'm sure you would. So it was entertaining, and we're glad we went. After that, we did have one more thing we did that evening, even though it had been a long day. We needed to do 80s music trivia. And this was one of the couple trivias that we did where we came very, very close to winning. As a matter of fact, we had a perfect score at the end of regulation play per se. However, we found we were second best again in the tiebreaker. Didn't walk away with the medals, but have a lot of fun and listen to a lot of great 80s music with a lot of people there.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people there, and there were a lot of people. Yeah, I would say there were maybe 4 or 5 groups of people that had perfect scores. We just didn't get the tiebreaker correct.
Yeah. They hold it in a room called Saga. It's actually a split level room, and it's an adult area in the evenings. So this was an adult only trivia, and I think they set the limit for group sizes to 4, mainly because that's how many medals that they have to
and they ended up the tiebreaker still was tied, but it happened to be a group of 2 and 2, so they just that's good, you get 2 medals, you get 2 medals, we're
2
good.
groups won.
So man, what can you do? Second best again, but it was still fun for sure. So after that, it's time to get to bed because it's been a long day, and we needed to get up early the next morning because we were at our first time. Well, we actually been to this port before, but it was the first time the Disney Destiny been at this port, the port of St. Maarten. the island's St. Maarten, which was a wonderful, beautiful little island in the Eastern Caribbean that we've been to once on a different cruise many, many years ago. Last time there, we didn't really do too much. We just kind of, it was after a transatlantic cruise. We just kind of walked off and explored a little bit around the port. This time we actually had an excursion. It was a kayaking and snorkeling excursion, right, Michelle?
Right. And what's unique about this island is actually has two different cultures living on the same island. It's like split in half. And so we arrived on the side that is the Dutch side, and they were actually celebrating their Independence Day.
Emancipation
Day. Yeah, sorry. Emancipation Day on that part of the island. On the other side, the French side, they weren't celebrating that. So it was kind of really unique we just had a touch of it, but again, different cultures within that same island.
So our excursion took off really, really early on this time. The other one was a little bit later in the morning. This one was very, very early in the morning. Got together with our group, got off, took a bus. It was about a 20 to 25 minute bus ride, I think, to the other part of the island, to a beach area, a little beach resort area where we met our guides for this kayaking and snorkeling excursion. What I'll say, it's funny. We brought cameras. We brought a bunch of stuff. We brought cameras, including like in a waterproof bag. Where didn't take one picture. Didn't take one picture. I have no pictures to show you for those of you watching on YouTube. I'm sorry about that. I wish we had taken pictures because our guides were excellent. It was really fun. We had amazing snorkeling. On this excursion, we had done one similar in Curacao a few years back, which was a kayaking and snorkeling excursion. That one was heavy kayaking and really light and not that impressive snorkeling. This was light kayaking. We did kayak some, but not a significant amount of time, but really good extensive snorkeling at a really impressive snorkeling area with a lot of fish. It was really nice, Michelle.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we picked up the kayak gears at in one location where this company is, and we just kayaked. It was on the ocean, so you did have, the issue of the waves and things like that. So it wasn't like in a bay, it's super smooth, but it wasn't super challenging. And then we just kind of went parallel to the shoreline to actually a resort that was there.
We went from one kind of resort area to another resort area.
And then parked our gear there. And then, like you said, it was interesting because when you first got out into the ocean, one, it wasn't very clear waters at first and definitely not a lot of fish, but then you went back a little further out and it was really impressive. Then a lot of fun.
And one thing they had us do, because they had us wear life preservers in the kayak, which totally makes sense. Then they are like, okay, so now you're going to change where you wear these life preservers, and you're going to wear them around your waist when you're snorkeling. And I was like, what are you talking about? I knew Michelle would want to be a life preserver because she's not as comfortable sometimes in the ocean water, deeper ocean water, where let's face it, doesn't take much for her not to be able to touch the bottom. She's not very tall. So she's not, I'm a bit stronger swimmer. So I was thinking, and they're like, okay, if you don't feel comfortable wearing it, once you get out of there, you can slip out of it, give it to one of us. And I was like, after I got out there for a little ways, I'm like, oh no, I'm keeping this thing on because it was very effective to making sure with, it wasn't the smoothest water, that you would be able to handle it very easily and still snorkel well.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we've snorkeled on other excursions where you're wearing just kind of like a flat belt that goes around your waist. And so it was kind of interesting this time that they had us wear our life preservers, but turned around and at our waist. I actually liked it better. I liked it better than the other kinds of belts that we've used. Definitely thought it was worthwhile having it.
We looked silly, but it worked.
Right. I felt like it was easier to move around wearing that because you could have it more flotation in the back versus in the front. So I think that also kind of helped. Or if you wanted to turn it around, it was very comfortable. I didn't see it impairing anything. There was a reef in the area, and that's where we saw the most things. And the guides were really good to be there watching. You didn't get too close because with the current, it could actually really bring you into.
Oh yeah, they jumped on me a little bit because I got a little too close to it. Yep. But yeah, we saw puffer fish. We saw lots of schools of fish. We saw what was it, blue tangs, like kind of like dory.
Right.
Lots of. It was one of the most impressive snorkeling areas that we've been to, and I'll definitely agree with that. It was fun, and it really. I thought it was a fantastic excursion. And if you like kayaking, if you're okay swimming in the ocean and snorkeling,
Right.
I would recommend it.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. It was, I would have to say, of all our snorkeling excursions, I would say this was number 2. This is my second favorite in terms of what you got to see. But I really thought the amount of time and everything was pretty good for what you were paying, and what you were getting was well worth it.
Right. And at the end, you get some water, or actually got some water at the beginning that you could keep around with you.
Yeah.
And then you did get a beverage as well. We chose a rum punch, which was mostly punch. And the rum was kind of nearby it. But it was still delicious and refreshing. Wasn't a long excursion, just about 2.5 hours back on the bus. And then it was back to our ship at the port. And we had a lot of sand on us, Michelle.
Oh my God.
We had a lot of sand on us.
I could not believe how much was in my swimsuit. It was like, holy cow, this is nuts.
The sand there, I mean, the beach was wonderful. The water was really, really nice. There's a lot of things that were great about it, but the sand was not that sand from Lookout Key, which is really fine powder. It was a bit more sturdy sand,
like
and
shells,
it got
broken shells.
There was no place to shower. That was the one issue I think I had when we got out there and got done snorkeling. And there was like, once we got done with the kayak, there was no place like you could shower off everything. Right. So you were carrying back kind of all this sand with you back on the ship. And we got back to our room and realized that our room steward had not yet done our room, because we got back by around noon. I mean, it was still pretty early in the day.
And she had a training that morning she had to go to.
So we're like, okay, well, what do we do? We could, just close off our room and shower and get it all out there. But then she's going to have to wait for however long that takes before we get in there. But we want her, I mean, she's a busy person doing a lot of stuff. We want her to get her break during the day. So we had the bright idea, let's go up to the adult pool, because it's probably not that crowded. There's a shower there. We can shower off, maybe get a swim, and maybe get a drink, Michelle.
Yeah, it was kind of a spur of the moment decision to do that. And I think it really worked out for us. Like you said, they have the shower right there before the pool. There was no way we were going into the pool with all that sand and debris on us. So it was very good to have that as a convenient thing to get into. And we had wanted to get into the adult pool and just never had an opportunity prior to that. And this was really convenient and so fun.
Yeah. So we got to the shower, showered extensively, not with soap or anything, but we did shower extensively to get as much of that sand off of us as we could. We got, I think, pretty much all of it off of us by the time we got, then took a dip in the pool. Really, really nice. We didn't want to be out in a long time. The sun was really blaring on us. Michelle, again, she thinks about the sun and she catches fire. So we did enjoy the pool very much.
Yeah.
Again, it wasn't as crowded at this point.
It's a nice pool because it's, what do you call those kind of pools that you're just looking straight out?
The infinity pools.
Infinity pools. It's really nice.
It's not huge, but it is nice. It's a nice place there. And there were a few other people there and we enjoyed that. Then there were some seats over by the Cove Bar. And we're like, since we only got, rum punch that was near rum, we decided to go ahead and get a cocktail from the Cove Bar. Michelle got her beautiful, the spritzer that you like very much,
the
strawberry
spritzer.
basil champagne spritzer. And I got my traditional Captain's Mai Tai. One thing about this one though is that they had a different bartender there, and that bartender, let's just say, he was very heavy on his pours for these things. We felt it about midway through.
You're right.
That these were pretty heavy pours for sure.
Yeah, they were delicious. At first I was like, wow, this tastes a little different. Then I realized it was the level of alcohol in it. But it was just, for me, it's very light, so it just met that atmosphere. It just felt so vacation at that moment to me. It was like we just got out of, we did the excursion. We went swimming in the pool here on the ship, and now we're going to have this light, luscious cocktail. It was heavenly.
Yes. And we were feeling it after that heavy pour,
Yeah.
not maybe being in the ocean, maybe being slightly dehydrated, but then the alcohol. We realized, hey, we need some more food. Surprise for us. So we went and hit up Donald's Cantina. We did the chicken tenders a few different times. Let's try something different. We did Donald's Cantina, which is a spot kind of in that same location on the ship, on the pool deck, where you can get like Mexican style burritos that they'll make for you, tacos or bowls. We both picked up a couple bowls. What did you think about Donald's Cantina, Michelle?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I mean, you can pick what you want in terms of all the substance. Like we had the bowl, so you had choices of rice and beans, and you could, as you went down the
protein,
line,
if you so desire.
Right. You could have they would add things to it. I thought it was nice that, they were doing it, so it's not like you're trying to, like in some buffets, you're trying to handle things that other people have touched and stuff. So it was good, and I thought it was delicious.
It was delicious. I loved it. There's also a little stand at the end if you like some hot sauces to be added to it, of various different styles that you can add to it as well. It was really good. We took that back to our room. Really enjoyed it. Next time we're on board, I'm going to hit up Donald's Cantina probably a couple more times because it was really good. Then we needed to really take a real shower, for sure. Showered, and then we realized, you know what? It's Canada Day, and we saw that they were doing something Canada Day at Cask and Cannon, Michelle.
Yeah, it was nice that they were doing that to celebrate and recognize Canada Day, and so we headed over. We had not been in Cask and Cannon yet, so it was a nice way to get in there and take a look and see what that was all about, and loved the styling of Cask and Cannon a lot, and saw that they were making different like magnets, and they had the printouts and everything really colorful,
very Canada Day, very Canadian type magnets.
And you weren't limited to just one. I got all of them, and so I thought that was so great. Yeah,
it was very crowded in there, so we didn't stick around for a long time on this occasion. We'll talk about that later, I think, when we got back to Cask and Cannon. But yeah, it was fun. It was busy in there a lot because, one, it's a great bar, one of our favorites on the ship, but also they had the World Cup playing there all the time, and the World Cup was going on when we were in there. So it was a very popular space to watch the World Cup and enjoy a little drink and maybe a little food too.
Right. Again, it's a very small, their lounges are small in comparison to some that you might see on the earlier ships. So anything on the Wish category, the lounges tend to be small, but it's, again, I like that intimate feel.
It was also pirate night. So, Cask and Cannon, it was already starting to lead, although it was still earlier in the day, it was starting to lead to that. You can tell the pirate feel was coming. So that place was pretty popular. Our show for that night was actually Toy Story 5 in the Walt Disney Theater, which was great. It had only been out for about a week at that point. We had not seen it yet. We were holding off until we got on board. Toy Story 5. What did you think, Michelle?
Yeah, I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great, I was looking forward to seeing it. I was glad to be able to see it on a very big screen because, like you said, it was in the main theater. They also have some smaller theaters that they're running different shows throughout the day, different films throughout the day. So this was on the big theater screen, and I thought it was great.
It was great. I'm not going to get into a full review of Toy Story 5 because we got too much to go over here, but amazing movie, really worthy of being in the Toy Story franchise for sure. I love Jesse's journey in it. I thought it was great.
Yeah. A lot of great things came out of that.
Right. So after that, we needed to get dressed up because we had dinner at Palo Steakhouse. We had never been to Palo Steakhouse before. By the way, for those of you on YouTube, we did not take this picture. This is courtesy of Disney Cruise Line. And we took very few pictures of Palo Steakhouse, but really enjoyed it. If you're looking at this on YouTube, you see those booths there. This is the first time we ever sat in these booths. As a matter of fact, we didn't do Palo when we were on the Wish.
No, we didn't. We couldn't get a reservation.
Right.
Yeah.
So the first time we had experienced those. These are interesting booths in that when our server came, it's interesting because of the way they're kind of domed. that like the sound echoes. It like felt like there was a speaker behind us.
Right.
Like, is he speaking into a microphone? No, it's just the way the sound kind of filters in the way these domes are created. I guess that was intentional, I have to assume. But it
Yeah,
was a pretty interesting effect.
I would think so, because then he could talk. He wasn't super loud, but we heard him like very clearly. And I think that way it for everybody in the atmosphere in that restaurant had that privacy kind of
Mhm.
situation, at least in those sections. So.
So this is the steakhouse version of Palo. It does have everything that you love from
Mhm.
normal Palo. If you've been on other ships, you know Palo. But it also has like a steakhouse menu where you can get some specialized steaks and then sides, and you can put them together. As much as I love the regular Palo menu, I thought this was the first time I tried the steakhouse version. So I'm definitely going to have a steak. I had a Wagyu strip steak with some sides, and it was cooked really well. It was very flavorful. It was delicious. I did enjoy it. Wasn't my favorite steak that I had on board, I'll admit, but really enjoyed that. What did you think about your dishes that you had?
Yeah, I had the Papa
The pappardelle.
Pepperdeli, yes. And I thought that was very tasty. It was really, really good. They have, like they do on the other ships, where you can, for a fixed price, get they have certain selections that are for the appetizer, the main course, and then the dessert. We went a la carte, so we had some opportunity to try some different things, and so I thought it was great. I liked that they still had some of the traditional offerings that you would get at any of the Palos, but also had something that, like you said, with the steakhouse, having some additional offerings to
Right,
choose from.
right. We had a great server,
Mhm.
Vinicius, he was fantastic. Really, really nice guy.
Yeah, from Brazil.
Interesting guy. He's from Brazil. Very much interested into aviation,
Mhm.
and matter of fact, is looking to go to school to become a pilot. And he was fascinated when he heard that Michelle had actually once had a pilot license. Talked about how impressive she was, and I said, I know she was very impressive, as we all know. But he was great. He was our server here, and he's our server later, which we will mention as well later on.
Yeah, it was wonderful. It's always wonderful talking to the cast members and getting their story, because they're always very interesting and unique. And his was definitely meeting those categories. And I liked hearing how he was able to balance his work time as well as during his off time to do studying, because like what he explained is he would study when he was on board ship, and then when he's on his leave he was actually able to do more of the actual flying and things like that. So it was great to hear that he was able to do that, and found a way to still be working towards other goals. He loves working for Disney and things like that, but this is just something that is a passion for him.
Yep, he was great, a wonderful server. We'd be happy to have him again aboard another cruise. And Palo. I don't think I'm as big a fan as the steakhouse portion of Palo as I am the traditional Palo. And if we go back again, I'll probably go back to traditional more dinner. But I did enjoy it. We went to bed with full bellies. His recommendations on some dishes and some wines were spectacular. We really enjoyed that time. I went to bed after that. We were exhausted. Now we needed to and we're going to get through this thing. I'm powering through this.
Yeah.
We're going to get to day 6 now, which was another sea day. It was on Thursday, July 2nd. It was a sea day. Got up and we're like, what are we going to do? Hey, there's some Star Wars trivia going on. Let's get down there. Very, very popular Star Wars trivia. There were a lot of people in the Sanctum was where they were holding Star Wars trivia. And once again, it was a near miss for us. We had a perfect score. It was very easy trivia. I mean, as a Star Wars fan, it was a breeze. It was 20 for 20, no problem. Matter of fact, there were 13 people or 13 groups, 13 teams that went 20 for 20. And then we went to the tiebreaker, which once again, just missed it by that much.
Yeah,
again.
Yes.
Finished second. Somebody just had it. It was the question was, I won't give you the answer so you can look it up yourself. But the question was for the tiebreaker is in inches, how tall is K2SO? I think the person that beat me had just like a 3-inch closer to the actual real number. than me, and I was in second place. So
Right,
just
right.
missed it
Just
again.
missed it.
Just missed it.
Right. And this one was open to all ages. So
Mhm.
it wasn't just an adult only trivia. And they did have other Star Wars trivia. They had an advanced Star Wars trivia, which on the 7 day, I think they offered it twice. I may be wrong on that, but definitely had at least once. But I think that's something typical that they do on the Destiny is have at least one regular
And one
Star
advanced.
Wars and one advanced.
We didn't get to make it to the advanced to see if
Mhm.
those questions, how much more difficult those questions were, but it was still fun.
Yeah.
Just not victorious once again. So close, so close. Then it was time. It's something that if you're going to do this, you need to go onto the app and actually book it like an excursion on board. It's called Imagineering the Disney Ships. And what they do is, if you've known the Art of the Theme tour or
Mhm.
whatever, they basically take you around the ship and show you different areas, what the influence is, what the idea was behind Imagineering those spaces, explanation of a lot of the artwork, which is, I already mentioned in our last episode, how phenomenal the artwork is on board the ship. Our host, again, our guest, our guide, Oliver, was fantastic.
Fabulous.
He was, I think he said it was one of his first ones he'd ever done, actually, and he was great.
Yeah, he was fairly, I think, new on the ship.
Yeah, I think
so-
he'd only been on for 4 weeks.
Yeah,
at that
something
point.
like that. Yeah. But very enthusiastic about everything, very knowledgeable. I mean,
Great dad jokes
Yeah,
throughout it. So
yeah,
good.
yeah, very entertaining. And they do offer the tour. It's an adult tour, adults only tour. And yes, like you said, you can book it on the app. We didn't look too early into the cruise, but you could, I think, as soon as you got to the port,
Mhm.
when you checked in, you could start looking for that. And then the other thing is you're actually able to, there's no cost to it, and you're able to change the time frames.
Right. As a matter of
if
fact, we had to
something
do
else
that
is
because
available.
originally we had it booked for, I think, 9 a.m. And we're like, we got up that morning. We're like, nope, we're not going to be
Yeah.
ready at 9 a.m. So we moved it to noon,
Right.
which worked out perfectly for us. But yeah, it was a really great exploration of the ship, explanation of a lot of the artwork, a lot of the thought process behind how that ship was designed. We got to go into the dining room for the Feast of the Lion King, and really explore that, which was interesting because we hadn't seen it without obviously other diners in there. The
Mhm.
lights turned low. They even had the blinds up in the back of it, so you got to see some really interesting things from that, including one of the few views you're going to get of Spider-Man
Right.
on the hull, on the aft there, that you can get from above. You're not going to get this view in pretty much any other way because they have those blinds closed when you're at dinner there,
Right.
which was fascinating. So we had to get a picture of that.
Yeah, I mean, we've watched the videos of the making of the Destiny, and we've researched the Destiny. There was still so many unique elements and parts of this ship that were explained to us that we never had heard
Mhm.
before. So it's definitely worthwhile, even though if you've researched the ship and what it's, like the making of it and everything, you're still going to find unique things, learn things about it. And like Tom said here and showing here, get some unique views as well.
Always recommend those tours of the ship, even if you've done them before, because different guides bring different perspectives and different information. You may get some of the same, but you also get different. And, especially if it's the first time on a ship, do it. It's worth your time.
Right.
Worth your time. So next up for us, well, first run movies in the theaters. We had not seen Devil Wears Prada 2. So we went, it was happened to be showing right after that. Went in and caught Devil Wears Prada 2. Did you like Devil Wears Prada 2?
I
Michelle?
did. I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. I was glad we saw it for the first time in a theater and not just watching it on TV. I think it really enhanced that experience. And what, again, a real fun element of a Disney cruise is being able to go into a first run movie without paying anything additional.
Yeah, it was great. I really enjoyed the movie. I love Devil Wears Prada more, the first one, but this was a very good follow-up. I did enjoy it, and I was very happy that we got to see it in a theater.
Yeah,
so that was
absolutely.
really nice. Apparently it was going to be a fashionable afternoon. There was a lot of fashion involved because next up we rushed from that theater to line up for something that we had heard good things about, but we had not been able to experience yet. And we didn't know if we were going to get another chance. They did it multiple times, but this is our first chance where it kind of fell into line where we might be able to make it. However, we got there and there was a very long line for something that's called treble making with Cruella at DeVille's, the piano bar that's on this ship. We sat there in line for about a half an hour, maybe 40 minutes, and we weren't sure we were going to make it in, but we didn't know if we'd have another shot. So the line began to move in, and it's inching, it's going okay, and then it starts to slow down. We're like, uh-oh. Are we going to make it? Are we not? It gets to where we are the next people that would have walked into that room, and they stopped us. They're like, nope, no more people. We're like, no, what?
I begged.
Michelle begged, batted her eyes, put on her best Cruella pose, and somehow they made room for us. We were literally the last two people to walk into that room, Michelle, for this show.
Yeah. Again, small lounge. So keep that in mind. The lounge was actually not open. So they weren't.
The bar wasn't even
bar
open.
wasn't open. You just went in to see this show. So, which I thought was kind of fun and interesting that it wasn't a way to try to sell more alcohol to you at that moment. So that was really good. And I think the other thing to remember on most cruises for the Destiny, it's one day that they typically offer this 3 different times. And it was also interesting. It was one of those times that they didn't have a cast member do a cutoff, like what we saw.
So you didn't know for sure if you were going to make it.
We didn't know. Like with Dr. Facilier, at least our experience, we saw a cast member around who would cut the line off. This one didn't. So we were just very, very fortunate and so thankful because it was amazing.
This show is phenomenal. This is something if you're on the Disney Destiny, you're gonna want to do. It includes the piano player who was Dave, there were a couple piano players on board. For this one, it was Dave. And Gamble came in and kind of hosted this show. And essentially it's basically Cruella comes in, they're singing the song, the traditional Cruella DeVille song. She's like, oh, I'm so misunderstood from this song. And so Gamble decides, well, what if we were to write a brand new song for you? She leaves, and then he leads the crowd through creating a new song with dance moves and everything. And yes, Michelle was even involved. She got called up on stage for our final pose, which was called the roadkill.
Well, he would when he would bring he brought only a couple people. I think it was one other person other than me.
One person did the dance moves.
And
you did the finishing pose. And others he would kind of get song lyrics throughout from everybody.
Exactly. He really did try to involve multiple people into this. But he would ask where are you from? And so I thought it was just easier to say Florida. I said, we're currently living in Florida. And so I think that's why he gave it the name Roadkill.
Yeah.
So
it was perfect. It was great. And the show is great. And I think it's, it depends on if you're going to want to wait in line multiple times, but it could be different every single time because people are going to create different lyrics for the song. She comes back in, you sing the song, you do the dance moves, the piano player plays the song, and then she comments on it. It's great. It's worth your time to wait in line and do this.
It's silly and hokey, but it is really fun and funny. And I think the skill of being into improv really helps make it because there's interactions all the time with people and with the whole group, and it's very, very funny. And I thought it was an amazing, like I said, it was a fun show. Wasn't super long, but it wasn't trying to make you, buy something. It was just an entertainment. Again, 18 plus. DeVille's is only 18 plus. That lounge is never.
It's one of the few that always only 18 plus.
Right, and it's not always open. It's usually just in the evenings anyway. So,
speaking of that, so after that, it was time to get changed, get ready for dinner, but then we had to go back to complete our fashionable evening back to DeVille's because they were actually doing something that we were interested in with the piano playing music there, Michelle.
Yeah, it's not something they typically do. In fact, the piano player didn't seem to know that
Yeah.
this was the theme. But according to the app, it was going to be Star Wars songs.
It was called Galaxy of Star Wars Sounds is what it was called on there. And yeah, he came in and we're all ready. We actually are one of the first there, got a prime seat, ordered a couple drinks. Michelle, you got the Perfectly Wretched, which actually came with a few extra items.
Yeah, I think we'll not do spoilers on this if you haven't tried it, but I would recommend it. It's a fun and it's a delicious drink.
You can it's kind of a spoiler if you're watching on YouTube because you can kind of see it in the photo there. I got the Darling. I loved it. It was a great drink. Really enjoyed it. The bar was open, obviously, at that point. Dave came in and started playing The Girl from Ipanema. And everybody's like, wait a minute, it's supposed to be Star Wars songs. And then everybody was, kind of chimed in and said, hey, he's like, oh, it's that's what we're supposed to be doing. All right. And then he had to put on a great show, right, Michelle?
He killed it. He was so entertaining. He was asking for recommendations. He was, checked his tablet and found different things. He played so many great songs. It was amazing. And each time the crowd went wild for him. And I think probably that's not something he typically gets. I'm sure people, if he's playing in the background, people are clapping, but people were just focused on him and so into it. And I think he really enjoyed that.
And giving him recommendations of songs to play. And everybody was kind of involved in a couple of songs. It was great.
Yeah. We were the choir, in fact.
Yeah. And Duel of the Fates.
Yeah.
We sang along with it. It was
the whole room. That's what he said. He says, I'll do this, but everybody has to be the choir in the background. And it was amazing.
It was a phenomenal experience. Then it was back for dinner. Feast of the Pride Lands, Story of the Lion King. This was the one that we actually got the actual Lion King show. We mentioned in our last episode that we were a little surprised we didn't get that show on our first visit. The entertainment was great, but it wasn't the show. This is where we actually got the show. What did you think about the show, Michelle?
I thought it was great. I think what's really good too is for kids who know Lion King, this was something that they could identify with and be entertained. They got the crowd involved at times in terms of singing and chanting and things like that. So I thought that was really a nice touch because it really did bring together the family elements of it.
Yeah, I really loved it. I thought it was a great show. It was a perfect show for the dining room, and that you could enjoy the music, and every once in a while take some glimpse of the dancing and some other things that went along with it. But also, it didn't have to take up all your attention as you're trying to get through this meal. I thought it was great. I did try another. I tried a drink combination that was specialized for this restaurant. The first time I tried a different one. This time it was called the Tour of South Africa, and it was an exploration of 3 different South African wines. There was a Sauvignon Blanc, a Pinot Noir, and I believe it was a Merlot or maybe a Cab. I can't remember what the other one was.
It was a Merlot.
But it was a progressive group through the wines. I thought they were all great. I enjoyed all of them, and they went with the meal really nicely. And there was only it was like $25 for these 3 glasses of wine. So
right.
Really good.
I don't think they were as generous of a pour as what you saw with the cocktail ones, but I thought definitely for this meal, this was a great accompaniment, and it would, especially I'm sure you could plan for it, which appetizers, which they don't call appetizers anymore. They call them small plates, entree and dessert. You could probably pair it well, but I think it lent itself to be drinkable with anything that you had.
Yep.
So.
And once again, love the food at the Feast of the Pride Lands. I still think they could add a little more spice to it. To be a little more African style. But it was all very good and tasty, and I really enjoyed it and was happy with both of our meals at that restaurant. Done for the day. Our fashion night was done. Time for bed because we have one more sea day on board, and that one started with a Palo brunch. And yes, our guy, Vinicius, was there taking care of us, and it's Palo brunch. It's always phenomenal and no different here. What an amazing meal that was.
Right. The Palo brunch it's a fixed price, but you do get all you want to eat. It comes with one cocktail at the beginning, whether you could have either Prosecco or Mimosa or Bellini. Or you could get something non-alcoholic, but that's the one it's provided as part of that price. But you definitely want to go in there on an empty stomach because there's a ton of food. I really appreciated that there was a red snapper, I believe, that was on the menu, which I hadn't seen before or that I could remember before on Apollo Brunch. And I asked his recommendation, and it was interesting. How he put it. He says, "This might be your second option." So I think he was really trying to explain, and he said it is prepared very dry, and he was right. It was not the best option, but I had he actually I didn't even order it. I decided to order something else, but he brought that along with my original
just
order.
so you could try it and see it.
Right.
He was correct.
Yes,
He was correct.
yes.
I meanwhile had the chicken parm, and the chicken parm undefeated. It's amazing. I will have it every brunch that I'm there at Palo because I love the chicken parm from Palo. Vinicius treated us well, and thanks so much. Left there with very full bellies, but then we needed to beeline down to check out and see what the line was like for the matinee of Hercules on the stage, because that's the big show everybody's been talking about. Yes, Michelle's got her Hercules shirt on. Yes, that's the big show, and sure enough, we were over an hour before this show was about to be seated. People were already starting to line up. We're like, you know what? We better get in line. So what we did, get in line. We split up. I was in line. Michelle went to go change out her nicer clothes that were for Palo. Then she came back, and I went and changed, and then got into the show. What did you think about Hercules, Michelle?
Okay, a couple of things. First of all, in terms of the line for their shows, they open the doors about 20 minutes before the show is going to start. So when we're saying we're standing in line an hour, it's like an hour and 20 minutes before the show was going to. There's plenty of room. You don't have to do that, but if you want particular seating, it's really recommended to line up pretty early. And again, like Tom mentioned, this show, the lineup was really long very early on, more so than any other show. In terms of the show, I was really blown away with puppetry, with the supporting technology that really, influenced the muses, and their singing was incredible. I really thought they did a good job covering the entire story in a short amount of time. The sets were beautiful and impressive. Really loved all that. In terms of acting, like if you were going to this as a play, I don't know that I felt the chemistry of all the characters or the main characters. So it was like, okay, yeah, I know the story and you're kind of telling me the story, but I don't know that I believe these characters are them as much, but it didn't distract it that much. It was still, like I said, with everything else to put on this production that was so impressive, was pretty great.
I think we agreed that we enjoyed the show very much. It was a very good show, but it wasn't like our favorite show that we've seen aboard a Disney cruise. Still worth your time. I mean, the bar is set very high for these shows aboard Disney cruise ships. So it was tough to kind of reach that. We will go back to it again, and very much will be excited to go back to it again. But it wasn't like if you had us to pick between a few shows and those were the only ones we could ever see, this probably would not make it to that. But that doesn't mean it's not good. Again, worth your time, worth lining up for, worth going to go see, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's so much else to the production that is so impressive. And perhaps it was the cast, because I think we kind of felt the same way about Frozen. It was a great show, but it wasn't the best production that we've seen of Frozen on the ship. So this may have been a cast issue.
Right.
I don't know.
As far as effects and puppetry, like you mentioned, and everything else was great.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it. I like Pegasus. I like Pegasus.
Oh,
Pegasus might have been my favorite character. And the muses.
Well, also Hades.
Hades was great.
And Hades is a Broadway star. And in fact, we didn't get to go into it conflicted. We would have been like halfway into his presentation, but he did what do you call it? Just where he's talking alone to a small crowd about his history and his history on Broadway and getting into Disney. But he was an amazing Hades.
Yep. Right. So yeah, saw the show, did a couple more things. Then we wanted to go visit the lounge that we kind of went into, but not really experienced fully. We wanted to make sure and get into cask and cannon. Really check that out fully. We'd heard some good things, seen some good things, got in there and did experience a really fun drink for two experience. I'm going to show the video here of when it's revealed. Spoiler alert. Yes. It's this beautiful drink for two that comes in this case, and you get all these gold chocolate pieces with it. Like, it is a really, really impressive drink, and it's very, very tasty and not super expensive, Michelle. I don't know what you thought about it.
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, I know we're showing it here, and again, trying to say no spoilers, but it's something that's been on since the debut of the ship that, Disney released in advance. And then, of course, other vloggers and things have released it. I thought it was a delicious drink, fit the setting perfectly. I think you still get the cast members, recognizing that anybody experiencing this, it's their first time. And so I think they're respectful of that and make it to be as enjoyable as possible in the reveal. Like sometimes you can be on one of these experiences and they've done it so many times that it's just kind of like, here you go. This I thought was, the cast member was great to it. And it was really, like you said, a fun setting. Loved it.
It was a tasty drink, very tasty drink. I think it's $25 for the two drinks, which isn't bad. And you get all these chocolate pieces. If you want to take them with you, they're yours.
Yeah,
you can take them all with you to enjoy as well, especially like if the kids want. Or for you if you want them. Really great. Also, they serve a little tray of like nuts and like Sudo Chex mix and stuff that you can enjoy. Actually, no nuts, because I think they were trying to stay away from nut allergies, but some little tasty snacks to go along with it. It's really well themed, very well pirate themed. The only issue I have with it is that when we were there, and yes, loved the World Cup and was very excited to watch the World Cup and was enjoying World Cup watching in there, but it does take away from the pirate theme a little bit while you're in there. So maybe you don't feel the pirate theme completely because of that. Still, it was one of our favorite lounges that we visited on the ship, I think.
Yeah, and this is one that my recommendation of Look Up really comes into play. There's a lot on the ceiling. I still didn't find, I'm not going to give it away. It's something that was shared with us on the tour, but something funny on the ceiling. But compared to other sports bars, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. Me too. So next we wanted to go catch a show because it involved Loki. It was kind of the closure of a Loki thing that started at the beginning of our cruise. It was called Celebration of a King, and it was fun. Again, it was another immersive show where they got the crowd involved in doing things to celebrate the king. And it was so much fun.
Yeah, it really was well done. This one, we were on the ground level, so we were very close to the action, but it's something you could see from any area. And they, like you said, there's a lot of improv in some of the characters that are involved. So.
Yeah, it was great. Highly recommended. Go see both shows that involve Loki, because they're very, very enjoyable and just part of the heroes villain thing that goes on. And there's some other stuff that happens in that show too. That's fun. Then it was back to the Cove Cafe, because that was the theme of the trip. We spent so much time at the Cove Cafe.
Repeat.
Yep. Enjoyed it. Then it was dinner at 1923. And I want to thank our servers, Anju and Yasmin. I don't have a picture with him. We were thinking we were going to get a picture with him on the last day for breakfast. However, we were 5 minutes late getting into breakfast, and they close it off at a certain point, so we didn't get in there. So we didn't get a picture with him, but they treated us really well. We actually found out on board that Anju was, he said, I recognize you guys. I'm like, yeah, we recognize you too, but we don't know from what cruise it was. We found out later it was that we were on that crazy COVID Panama Canal cruise together. And like, when we found that out, we're like, that's where we know you from. So, yeah, it was amazing. Recommendations were spot on. They treated us really, really well.
Yeah. And actually, the way the stations were set up, our table was a little bit separated from his main station. But
in 1923, boy, he had to work for us.
He had to work because he had to travel a little bit. He and Yasmin had to travel a little bit more, but they were fabulous. I actually like the menu on this. This was the secondary show. So if you're, on a 4 or 5 day cruise and you're getting, I guess on a 5-day cruise and you're getting a secondary menu, I actually preferred it.
Yeah. Wow. I like the first menu more, but I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I thought this was the one where you got...
No, the steak was the first menu.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This one reminded me more of like Brown Derby.
Yeah, you got the grapefruit cake,
I
which was
did.
like, wow,
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
Brown Derby. Very
Mhm.
good. I mean, they don't have the Cobb salad, but
Right,
it's still good.
right.
That was good. So yeah, very, very enjoyable meal. Then we had to make the sad trip to, well, joyful and yet sad, the See You Real Soon show, which takes place virtually on every ship in the ground hall, where you get to see so many of the characters and check them all out. They actually give you some good opportunities to get photos
Right.
with them, and you get to experience a lot of the amazing people on the board the ship that help make your trip. It was called, along with See You Real Soon, Destiny Discovered. And they asked, did you discover your destiny? Are you hero? Are you villain? As Loki pointed out, are you somewhere in between?
Bit of both.
It was great. It was a wonderful, wonderful. And for me, it brought a few tears thinking the cruise at the end and just so many amazing things that happened during this sailing. It was a great way to wrap up this cruise.
Most definitely. And even at the end where they had Gamble and he was talking about, everybody and their destiny and everything, was so eloquent about it. It just really was a nice way to tie the whole theming of this wonderful excursion together.
By the way, little did Gamble know that was also his last night of the cruise, but we won't get into that.
Right.
But wonderful experience. Gamble, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. You were treated us really, really well. I don't know what happened, but thank you.
He was really, so really impressive. Well. Yeah. He's got really incredible improv skills, so he'll be fine.
For sure.
Yeah.
But although that was really kind of closing out the cruise, we had one more thing we wanted to do. We wanted to get back, one to our cabin, but also to the Haunted Mansion Lounge, because we needed to try out this other drink that we had not experienced yet. Yeah, I didn't put pictures on here, strangely enough. We wanted to get to one more drink that is a special drink that's kind of a little mystery on the menu that to discover, you need to kind of solve a little puzzle to get that drink, right, Michelle?
Yeah, it's really their menu is actually a tablet, and you have to know how to access to get it. I don't know how you figured it out the first time, but there is a puzzle, but it changes, so it's not the same puzzle every time, because I noticed it's different from the time before that. And again, the presentation of it with the cast member was really great. I thought he was bringing us water, and I'm like, oh, are you bringing us water, like a separate glass of water with this? And he's like, yeah, sure. But it wasn't. But it looked like water, but it was delicious accompaniment.
Right. It's you kind of mix. It's another drink for two people. And you kind of mix to match to how you want to do it. One's more of a bourbon drink. One's more of was a vodka drink or a gin drink?
A gin drink.
Gin drink. So yeah, depending, that was perfect for us because I could try the bourbon, you could try the gin, and it was great.
Yeah.
And the puzzle's not that difficult to solve, by the way. You can do it easily enough. So, all right, we got through it. That was our Disney Destiny cruise. We got to move because this was long, but man, what an amazing cruise. Yes. And we love the Disney Destiny. You have a ranking of it on your favorite ships, Michelle? I'm just curious before we close this out.
Well, in terms of experiences, it's my favorite now. And obviously I have issues with the layout, but just in terms of experience and like the real immersiveness of the theming, it's the best.
Right. It's not my favorite ship in general, but the entertainment, the fun, the experiences on board, I'll put it right up there as possibly my favorite. I'd have to really think about it. But either way, we enjoyed it. We're excited to get aboard the Disney Destiny again to experience it again.
Glad we have something.
Because there's a lot of stuff we still didn't do.
I know, even though we were there 7 days. Yeah.
So, all right. So that's it. We got through it. Woo! That was our date with Disney Destiny Part 2. Yay!